Hello and welcome to my latest video. So as you can see, I did Henry Armstrong earlier. That leaves one fighter of my current top 10 all-time ranked fighters whose video is not done, and that is ancient Archie Moore, of course, the old mongoose. So we will go through Archie Moore's career. Okay, we will go with his major fights to begin with, and he, like Henry Armstrong, like all the fighters in my top 10, has a very deep resume. So beginning on slide 1 for Archie Moore. One thing about Archie Moore, he fought a whole number of Hall of Fame heavyweights, beginning of course with Muhammad Ali when he really was old enough to be my granddaddy. Of course he lost to Muhammad Ali, and he also lost to the Brockton blockbuster Rocky Marciano. Archie Moore was also beaten by fast punching Floyd Patterson. Now from the heavyweight Hall of Famers, down to a light heavyweight Hall of Famer, Harold Johnson. Now Archie Moore fought him on 5 occasions, scoring 4 wins, 1 loss and no draws. He then fought Black Murderers Row great Holman Williams on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win and 1 loss, and he fought the great Ezard Charles on 3 occasions, suffering defeats in all 3 fights. Next up, tough former light heavyweight champion Joey Maxim. Archie Moore fought a trilogy of fights against Maxim, winning all 3 times, and then he was dissected and picked apart by another of the great Black Murderers Row fighters, Charlie Burley. Next up, former middleweight Hall of Famer Teddy Uroz, who also campaigned at light heavyweight later in his career, defeated Archie Moore in a singular fight. Archie Moore also held a win over Herbert Lewis Hardwick, the Coco Kid, in a singular fight. Big shout out to Clash Royale Pro 698. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Next up, light heavyweight Hall of Famer Willie Pastrano. Archie Moore fought him to a draw. He also held a win over Hall of Famer Carl Bobo Olsen, and from a 5-fight series, he scored 4 wins and 1 loss, against Hall of Famer Jimmy Bivins, who in the early 1940s was rated by many as one of the best fighters in the world. Next up, 2 more Black Murderers Row fighters. The first is Eddie Booker, who Archie Moore could never seem to figure out. He fought a trilogy against Eddie Booker, suffering 1 loss and fighting 2 draws, and he closes out this immense first slide with 2 wins from 2 against dangerous southpaw Burt Littell. So that is a mammoth slide there. So many massive names on there and so many fights on there. So going on to slide 2, we meet Leonard Moreau, a capable lightweight contender. Archie Moore fought him on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win and 1 loss. He then had a 6-fight series, against another of the Black Murderers Row, Jack Chase, scoring 4 wins with 1 loss and 1 draw. And Archie Moore fought once and lost to Black Murderers Row fighter Aaron Wade. Next up is Alabama Kid, who campaigned across all those divisions. Alabama Kid had a lot of fights in his career. Archie Moore fought him on 2 occasions, beating him both times. Next up is Johnny Bandit Romero. Archie Moore fought him on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win, 1 loss. And then he fought the Hatchet Man, Curtis Shepard, on 2 occasions. Archie Moore won both fights. Next up is a 4-fight series against top 10 light heavyweight contender Oakland Billy Smith. Archie Moore went unbeaten against Billy Smith, scoring 3 wins and 1 draw from that 4-fight series. And then of course for his next opponent, Von Durrell, the Canadian, twice. The first fight was an absolutely all-time classic, with Moore going down multiple times in first round, going down again, eventually finishing Durrell with some pinpoint punching. Archie Moore certainly had a tough fight in that first fight against Von Durrell for sure, but he did win both fights. Next up, former top 10 rated contender Nate Bolden is also beaten twice from 2 fights by Archie Moore, and he also fights and defeats puncher Bob Satterfield. Now, one thing about Archie Moore is a lot of people still to this day say Rocky Marciano avoided Nino Valdez. Now that is not true, because Nino Valdez, in one of the fights with Archie Moore, fought a final eliminator. This was for what would turn out to be Rocky Marciano's last fight. Sadly, Nino Valdez didn't win the fight, he lost it, so therefore Archie Moore got the fight against Marciano. Otherwise Marciano would have had to fight Nino Valdez. But Moore beat Nino Valdez fighters on both occasions they fought. He also won one and lost one from 2 fights against Giulio Rinaldi, and he also scored 2 wins from 2 against Willie Besmanoff, before beating also in singular fights the final 2 names on here. The first is contender Eddie Cotton and then contender Alejandro Lavarente. So another slide full of rated opponents. Going on to slide 3 for Archie Moore. Archie Moore goes on and on and on through his resume. We're still on rated opponents, okay? He fights and defeats Charlie Norcus in a singular fight, and then he also gains singular wins more over Roger Risher, Tony Anthony and Yolande Pompey. Next up is a 2-fight series with contender Bob Dunlap. Archie Moore wins both of those. He also scores singular wins over Bob Baker, Dogomar Martinez, Clarence Henry and Jimmy Slade, before then fighting to a draw against Carol Siss. Next up, a trilogy against Charlie Doc Williams, another top 10 contender. Archie Moore wins all 3 times. He then scores a win over Phil Moscato before splitting a 2-fight series with Henry Hall, scoring 1 win and 1 loss. The final 2 names on slide 3 for Archie Moore, and we're still not done yet. The first is over contender Rusty Payne. Archie Moore defeats him in a singular fight, and then he also gains a win over top 10 contender Buddy Walker. Now, most people would think, well, surely that's enough for Archie Moore, considering he's had all these 4 and 5 fight runs against fighters and multiple trilogies, but no, we are not done yet. Going on to our next 4th full slide. Okay, he fights and defeats George Kokan, before then also scoring a win over Bob Jacobs. Next up, top 10 contender Ron Richards is also beaten twice from 2 fights by Archie Moore. And then Archie Moore, okay, scores more wins against rated opponents in singular fights. The first is against Fred Henneberry, then he fights Jack McNamee, before also gaining singular wins over Jack Cougins, Marty Simmons and Sammy Slaughter. Next up is a trilogy of fights against Sammy Jackson. Archie Moore scores 2 wins and 1 draw from that trilogy, and if you look at Archie Moore's record, like Henry Armstrong, lots of trilogies, and Archie Moore wins most of them. Next up is Frank Rousey. Archie Moore defeats him, and then he fights Shorty Hooge, okay, in a 3-fight series, scoring 1 win with 2 losses and no draw. He then also fights Big Boy Hooge, okay, scoring a win. Next up is Kenny LaSalle, an experienced fighter, capable fighter. Archie Moore defeats him. He then scores 2 wins from 2 against Bob Amos, before also holding a singular win over Bob Sykes. So going on to the next slide, and the final one, I promise you, as you can see, Archie Moore's career is quite large. He scores a win over Alberto Santiago Lovell in a singular fight, before also holding a singular win over Embro Davidson. He then has a 6-fight series with experienced fighter Howard King, scoring 5 wins, no loss and 1 draw, before then also gaining a singular win over Bob Albright, before then scoring 2 wins over Buddy Turman. So that, okay, puts Archie Moore into the 100 plus club with a total of 114 fights highlighted there. Now Archie Moore has won 86 of those fights with 20 losses and 8 draws. They cover the virtually bulk of Archie Moore's main opponents. A lot of fighters there, okay, and Archie Moore scored nearly 90 wins from that, so that is impressive as well. So going on to Archie Moore in terms of KOs and rounds boxed, Archie Moore scored 131 knockouts, okay, he scored 58 knockouts in 3 rounds or less, and also scored 16 KOs in the first round. 58 knockouts in 3 rounds or less is a huge total, as his other knockout stats are, to be honest. Now Archie Moore scores 4 KOs against champions, he scores 8 KOs against Hall of Famers, and 8 KOs against pound for pound fighters, and Archie Moore in total scores 37 knockouts against rated fighters. Now rounds boxed, okay, Moore fought more rounds than Armstrong, coming in with a massive total of 1,464 rounds. He fought 122 title fight rounds in his career, and Archie Moore fought totals of 207 rounds against champions, 298 rounds against Hall of Famers, and 246 rounds against pound for pound fighters. Now against rated opponents, again, you know, full rating history like with Henry Armstrong. Still still way shy of Maxi Rosenblum's total, but Archie Moore, scores a massive total of 866 rounds fought against top 10 fighters. Now, when you consider he's also a big puncher, that makes that even a more impressive tally. Obviously, Rosenblum well over 1,000 rounds, like 1,500 and something. So yeah, not quite in Rosenblum's territory, but a massive total. Big shout out to Bruce Gass in the chat. I'm a bit tongue-tied. I had some problems getting live stream upload and everything. It's knocked me off course a bit. So rounds against top 3 fighters, okay. Archie Moore fought 488, and he also fought 158 rounds against ring champions. Wow, Jay Ramirez, Archie Moore's daughter. That is fascinating. What a great fighter. I wonder what it's like to have such a legendary fighter as a relative. Wow, it's incredible, really. So anyway, with Archie Moore, let's go on to his slide against champions now. Archie Moore had 21 fights against champions, scoring 10 wins, 10 losses and 1 draw. He defeated 5 individual champions. They were Harold Johnson, Holman Williams, Joey Maxim, Coco Kid and Carl Bobo Olsen. He scored knockout or stoppage over 4 of those 5 champions, stopping Coco Kid, Holman Williams, Harold Johnson and Carl Bobo Olsen. And when we go on to his Hall of Fame slide, a bigger tally, a massive 31 fights against Hall of Famers for Archie Moore. He scored 16 wins with 12 losses and 3 draws. One interesting thing about Archie Moore, he has a severe winning record against the Black Murderers Row fighters. He had a lot of fights against Black Murderers Row, and I count Bivens in my Black Murderers Row, etc., etc. When you add Bivens in there as well to the Black Murderers Row, he had a lot of fights against them with a massive winning record. I think that's testament to how good Archie Moore was. Obviously, he couldn't beat Burley. Burley dissected him, but many other Black Murderers Row fighters were beaten many times by Archie Moore. So he defeated 7 Hall of Famers individually. They were Jimmy Bivens, Harold Johnson, Holman Williams, Joey Maxim, Lloyd Marshall, Coco Kid and Carl Bobo Olsen. And he stopped in wins 6 of those 7 Hall of Famers, stopping Lloyd Marshall, Coco Kid, Holman Williams, Jimmy Bivens, Harold Johnson and Carl Bobo Olsen. So going on to the pound for pound slide, Archie Moore has 28 fights against pound for pounders with a record of 15 wins, 12 losses and 1 draw. He defeated 7 individual pound for pound fighters. They were Jimmy Bivens, Harold Johnson, Holman Williams, Bert Littell, Lloyd Marshall, Carl Bobo Olsen and Leonard Moreau, and he stopped or knocked out 6 of those 7 pound for pounders: Lloyd Marshall, Holman Williams, Jimmy Bivens, Leonard Moreau, Harold Johnson and Carl Bobo Olsen. So going on to Archie Moore's record against rated opponents, it is vast. He comes in with 96 fights against top 10 fighters, 96. So if you think about it, Terence Crawford hasn't even had 50 professional career fights, and Archie Moore had nearly 100 fights against rated opponents with a massive record of 71 wins, 18 losses and 7 draws. Now Archie Moore also has a mammoth total of 52 fights against top 3 rated fighters. There's only certain fighters in my retired database, so I've hit that 50 plus total against top 3 fighters. It is a massive total. Again, he's had more fights against top 3 rated fighters than many modern greats have had career fights. Archie Moore has an incredible record of 35 wins, 14 losses and 3 draws against those top 3 rated fighters, and he has a record of 16 fights against ring champions with 8 wins, 7 losses and 1 draw. Yeah, Clash Royale Pro, I think 8th all time. Yeah, I think that's a very respectable rating for him. I have him around that mark. So Archie Moore, in terms of individual rated fighters, he beat a massive 45 individual rated fighters. And when you consider he fought many of them 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, it's incredible. He also scored knockouts over 29 individual rated fighters overall. So now going on to his title fight numbers, Archie Moore had 12 world title fights. He scored 10 wins, 2 losses, no draws. Archie Moore made 9 title defences in his light heavyweight division record of virtually a decade as world light heavyweight champion. An incredible run. He scored 6 title fight knockouts in those 10 title fight wins, and he scored 10 wins against top 10 rated fighters in title fights, 10 wins against top 3 rated in title fights, and 5 wins against ring champions champions in title fights. Archie Moore also scored 5 wins against champions in title fights, 5 wins against Hall of Famers in title fights, and 2 wins against pounders in title fights. So going on to the final slide for this all-time great legend in boxing is his titles won. Now, Archie Moore, of course, captured the world light heavyweight title. He caught it at an old age for fighters back in that day, and he held it for virtually a decade in a division-setting record run. Incredible. He could even lose to fighters in non-title fights, and then when it mattered, when that light heavyweight title were on line, he would win. He could also face that incredible adversity like he did in first Von Durrell fight, as well as other fights. But, you know, one thing about it is, you know, yes, he couldn't beat Ezard Charles over their 3 fights, but he has a better record against Harold Johnson than Ezard Charles did. You know, I'm not really into triangle theories. I think it depends the fighter on the night, what the tactics are, what the condition is. I don't think you can always go on triangle theories because styles make fights. But, you know, at the end of the day, Archie Moore has a record that can match pretty much anybody except for those big 3 or 4 names on my list. Anyone after that, Archie Moore can match, potentially better. He really is that great of a fighter. So he captured the world light heavyweight title. He also was lineal light heavyweight champion of the world, again for a record run at light heavyweight in light heavyweight history, and he was also undisputed light heavyweight champion. So with the great legendary Archie Moore, okay, one of boxing's all-time great punchers with an incredible knockout record, with that decade pretty much long run as light heavyweight champion, albeit winning it old, plus that incredible winning run against the Black Murderers Row fighters, severe winning record against some of the most avoided fighters in boxing at the time, coupled fighting all those heavyweight Hall of Famers, you know, Marciano, Patterson, who followed Marciano, and later Muhammad Ali. Fought Hall of Famers from multiple divisions. Fought middleweight Hall of Famers like Bobo Olsen, Teddy Oroz. Of course, fought the light heavyweight Hall of Famers like Johnson, Pastrano, Ezard Charles, etc. You know, fought Hall of Famers across multiple divisions, coupled with that near 100 fight run against top 10 fighters. It is incredible what this legendary fighter did. So with Archie Moore's video done following Henry Armstrong's earlier, all 10 of my current top 10 greatest fighters of all time have now been immortalised in my new video format. I wanted them all there. There, of course, is a series coming. I've got the first video ready on the champion stats. I'm working on a video on the Hall of Fame stats. We're looking at graphs matching all the 10 against each other in the different stat categories. We'll have one for title fight record, pound for pound record, knockout record. A number of videos coming. The playlist is already there. I did a race bar graph for the first one, but I'll do some graph charts so people can see how these 10 legendary figures in boxing match against each other. Big shout out to Drunk Irishman in the chat. But to me, Archie Moore, anybody really putting Archie Moore outside top 10, I've seen it. I've seen where Archie Moore was 23rd on one list that I find completely reprehensible. You know, I think to not even rate Archie Moore in your top 20 fighters of all time, questions have to be asked. Exactly what are you rating on? He set records at light heavyweight title level. He's got one of the greatest knockout records in boxing, some of the biggest knockout numbers in boxing. He has an incredible resume, one of probably best dozen resumes in boxing history. You know, how can he not even be in top 20? You know, I think like Clash Royale Pro said, around 8. You know, at times I've rated Archie Moore 5th, 6th, 9th. You know, he's definitely, to me, got to be top 10 all-time fighters, in with that great company. You know, like Robinson, Langford, Greb, Britton, Canzoneri. He certainly deserves to be in that mix, in that top bracket. Because if you think about it, really, I've always said, like with Armstrong earlier and like the other of my top 10 I've done, I've rated about 1,100 fighters. I did have like 1,300, but I took 280 modern active guys out, so it knocked my numbers down. I'm now building back up fully retired fighters. But to get into my top 10 all-time out of nearly 1,100 names shows how great this fighter was. So I will be back tomorrow with another video. I think 2 massive videos on 2 all-time legends in one day is a good day. So I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Whether I do a career video or first graph video on my top 10 or a stat matchup, I don't know. I'll decide that in the morning. But I will bid you all farewell. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. I'm the Boxing Librarian. And I'll leave you with this all-time great legend. And I'm out for now.